This week's scenario is Outlast from the 2017 Steamroller packet. This scenario does have the Killbox Artifice in effect and consists of 2 circular zones which can be controlled for 1 CP by warrior units, warcasters, and warlocks, and 2 flags which can be controlled for 1 CP by solos, warcasters, and warlocks. Victory conditions consist of earning 5 more control points than your opponent or caster assassination.
Hello, this is Irish W, and this week I decided to bring Master Necrotech Mortenebra, or Morty 1, as what in the Black Industries theme list. I wanted to give this a try because A, I haven't used Mortenebra since they rechanged Deryliss, and B, also it's a new theme for me. And I think it's pretty cool to give heavies carapace armor.
Hello, this is Nuhualli from the forums. It's glad to be here again. This time I brought Tanith. I made a list of 50 points with the miniatures that I had painted at that moment. It's a mixed army in no theme. We'll see if I can make my small battle group work. Well, following 2 strategies, I'll try to be effective with my shooting, though I know that it's going to be very difficult given the theme of my opponent. The other pieces are just support that will allow me to be more effective on charges and have some options of scoring. I decide not to deploy centrally to try to flank my opponent.
Cryx turn 1. First thing I'm doing is looking at my opponent's list and trying to determine which pieces I need to get to right away. So right off the bat, I'm gonna be keeping an eye on what my opponent does with that Stalker, since those things can remove a jack from the table pretty easily. If I get a chance at the Gorax, I'll take it. And the Argus with the little Doppler bark. But once Mortenebra casts Spectral Steel on Deathjack and advances, the plan for the army is pretty much to run forward. Since my opponent doesn't have as many heavies as I do, I'm thinking I might be able to do peace trades. I'm hoping not to do too many peace trades, but might end up doing peace trades at some point. A lot of times I said peace trades in a row. But, me. Alright, so once I get everyone run up, not having any units, I know right away I'm not going to be able to control the zone. At least the zone's on the end. So I'm looking to collect my points from the 2 flags in the middle, and maybe Mortenebra may touch a zone if she's safe.
Circle turn 1. Let's start by giving Fury to my Thunderstones. I want to make them contest at least most time that I can the top zone. So I want to create a wall to deny charges for those 2 heavies. I am pretty aware that shooting to my opponent's battle group is going to be very, very hard. I don't have the power to crack their armor with the team benefit they have, but at least I want to be able to successfully block their advancement and give me time to work on some section of the battle group. I want to be careful with the counter charges here, but also I want to make somehow give me the position that I need to be able to shoot at least at light and deny the charges. So I try to create a choke point in between those 2 forests, while I advance with the rest of my army to try to contest my own flag. I think the key to winning this game will be to control my flag and contest his flag. I don't see me mulching through all those heavies to win by attrition. I'm not sure what to do with my words at this point. I just advance them and hope that I can make them effective against any jack that has an upkeep. The other beasts advance and try to be in a position that's going to be meaningful for the next round. I intend to trade one light with one heavy. I don't know if I can do it. I will need to be very careful in my position, but yeah, it's going to be hard. My Blackclad is going to contest the bottom zone. I hope he lasts long enough to give me some kind of advantage at the end.
Cryx turn 2. My opponent almost put a Stalker in the open, which would have been alright with me, but he eventually moved them to cover. Alright, so looking at how my opponent's kind of unpacked his army, I'm looking at the I forget what they're called, the constructs that come with the Sentry stones. One thing that does interest me is if they're close enough together, then I'll go ahead and be able to take him out with Mortenebra's Void Gate, which now costs 3. Then I'm also looking to the left side of the field, my opponent's right. I'm thinking the target of choice is going to be the Argus. So my opponent's kind of got a tight pack bunch still. So I'm thinking I'm going to go after that left zone and at least a flag. But I also need to apply pressure onto my opponent. Where are those names? Wold stock, no. Sentry stones. Mannikins, there we go. Trying to look through War Room to figure out what the name of those things were, but they were Mannikins. So my plan is if I can knock out half the Mannikins on this turn, it would probably put a little pressure on him to start regenerating them, because they're based off D3 return. He may not get everything back that I destroy. So now I'm making my big move on that Argus. What I want to do is I want to put Malice close enough to drag the Argus in, to kill him, and here's where I get to use Tune-Up, the new ability, first time ever. It's pretty awesome. Yeah, one drag, kill Argus. Malice gets a soul, which increases the armor by 1. Also, I'm going to end up trying to work on some positioning here, because once I do drag in the Argus, that tune-up really did a lot of damage, so I was pretty happy with that. Malice ends up killing the Argus. Took all its focus, though. So now I have a little carrot on stick out there. In that position, the Seether, so if my opponent were to bring in Stalker on Malice, I'd be able to countercharge. Run my solo up into base space with the flag, put Mortenebra on a hill, away from everything else.
Circle turn 2. Okay, I have one less light to try to do trades. So after I just managed the Fury from Center Stones, I try to maintain that choke point. and maybe shoot some of them, um, which is going to be troublesome with the counter charges. At least I will try to make them not advance as much as they can. We'll see if I'm lucky enough to do some of the shooting. I'm trying to figure out the right positions for my Mannikins. It's going to be kind of a waste of time at this point, but still, I want to make work with them. And the shooting is not as effective as we were assuming from the start. And I'll just try to make some time for me here, so I can decide how I want to approach the middle part and secure the flag as according to my previous plan. So here we have one of the counter charges, and take out one of the Mannikins. Yeah. Here I try to decide what to do with the rest of my Mannikins, which is nothing much really that can be done. Shooting through the heavies it's a nightmare here. Yeah. I will try at least to chip some damage, and which will be meaningful if I'm able to do more damage later. So at least I feel that I am progressing. The difficult part here is trying to decide which part of that battle group to attack first. The top part is going to be now harder, since I already in melee with that heavy. So that's why I am trying to think what will be the best target for my words. Even with the increase in armor, I might get lucky with the dice, but still is I don't want for the words to be on my way to my charges. So now I am planning to take out the heavy with the drag. I tried to do Hunter's Mark, but I failed. That was mostly for the free charges. I had enough distance to do the charge here, which I will start. Sadly, I am the target of another counter charge. I just pray for him not to take out any of my important aspects. In this case, it was body that it was gone. Yeah, it's a shame. I continue with my attacks, and thankfully I do some damage with Primal, which is, I think, good enough for me to go with the Stalker and finish the beast. I'm sorry, finish the Jack. Which I'm doing right now. I don't have enough to try to take out the beast. This will be, I think, the last heavy that I can destroy in the game. Sadly, yeah, trying to go against 4 heavies with just 1 heavy is not a good idea. But still, the Stalker has his tricks. He will be able to at least force my opponent to commit more centrally. If this goes in the right way, I might be able to use my words to block some access to Tanith. At the end, I just use my Gallows Grove to secure my point, I don't have anything else to contest the opponent's flag. I was intending to use my lights for that, but just one Gorax is not going to do enough. I think he is contesting, but he's not going to last. He's already very damaged, so here my ward is trying to do more work. He almost got a decent amount of damage on the Jack. The others are very far, or yeah, it's not going to board moving them. Tanith is trying to force Shadow Bind on the Jack that is engaging my Mannikins. At least to make Mortenebra dedicate more focus on him to shake the effect. There's one thing that I forgot to mention. Currently, the Stalker has ammunition, so that will help me to avoid some of the charges. It's interesting, the interaction between ammunition and countercharge. Something that I read about. I'll have to be very careful on doing this. And yep, I land the Shadow Bind. At the end, I decided to try to go with the words. It's easier to hit the Jack, but the armor is too high to crack. I do a couple of damage. At least they're doing something.
Cryx turn 3. So my opponent did end up killing Malice, as I suspected. But before he brought in the Stalker, he sent up his Gorax, which enabled the Seether to countercharge the Gorax. And it did a fair amount of damage to him. But more importantly to me, the Gorax is damaged, so I'll be able to use the Scavenger, who's got Finisher, to finish the Gorax instead of having to use the Seether to take out the light. Then, because my opponent just placed his Gorax just perfect enough to where he was just slightly within 4 inches, he denied me my point. So as I'm working on taking out the Gorax, I'm trying to think of how I want the rest of the turn to go. I'm thinking once the Gorax is out of the way, that Seether will be able to get to that Stalker. But the Stalker's got ammunition, so I can't go directly after the Stalker, or else I'll end up failing my charge. So my plan is to go after the Gallows. I figure go after the Gallows. That will either, because I'm going to put overrun on the Seether, I'll either be able to get to my opponent's Warlock, or he's going to have to use the Stalker to get in the way to disrupt the Seether getting to the Warlock. So I figured that this little overrun combination and using the Gallows to trigger it will get me either a Warlock or the Stalker. So after everyone gets up there and empowers the Seether, I used Empower from Deryliss on this particular turn because since I was going after the Gallows, which is immobile, that first attack didn't really need me. It didn't need to be tuned up. So I top off the Seether with Focus. and work on my positioning. So because the Seether clips part of the forest, I have to take into account that his speed is reduced slightly. And once I figure out what the total distance is, send in the Seether. So I'm leading with the Tusks here, because I'm trying to save all the high-powered attacks, or high-strength attacks, for the Stalker. But there's one thing that's constant in this game, is that my dice will not work with me 90% of the time. And so I'll give my opponent time to figure out where exactly he's going to want to put his Stalker, because he's declared that he's moving him, just needs to know where. And at this point, he knows he's pretty much got to keep the Stalker right in front of his caster. That way, my 6-inch move doesn't put me in range of his caster. So this plan kind of worked for me. Except for the Tusks didn't kill the Gallows on the charge, so I had to use one of his arms. So then overrun triggers. Do some measuring. Not quite sure I'm able to make it to the caster, so I get as close as I can. Ends up failing. I put the remaining 4 attacks into the Stalker. Because the Seether's mat 8, he can reasonably hit the defense 14 Stalker. And the Seether is POW 17, so he's able to kill the Stalker in the 4 attacks he had. And at this point, I'm thinking scenario pressure, because catching my opponent's Warlock is not going to be very easy. Especially given that only one Jack is really going to be able to mitigate terrain. So if I control the 2 flags and the zone, I can start scoring. But I'm not going to be able to get anything to my opponent's flag on this particular turn. So at the turn, it's going to be, except it's going to be 1-1, so I just need to work on positioning for the next turn, and as well as trying to clear out a forest worth of Mannikins from the far zone. And since Seethers either have to run a charge, I can't exactly move him to where he would be off them, so I essentially have to charge a single Mannikin with a Seether. Activate Deathjack, he rolls up, and starts getting rid of my opponent's light war beast. The sentries. Woldwyrds, not sentries, Woldwyrds. Probably the biggest thing that saved my Jax this turn was the carapace benefit of the theme, which gave him the +4 armor. Because with Spectral Steel, Deathjack was an effective armor 25 against the POW 12 of the Woldwyrds. And of course, Deathjack tried, since he had focus left over, tried to fling a spell at my opponent. He got shot up by the Woldwyrd and killed the Druid Wilder.
Circle turn 3. With most of my army gone, I need to find a way to stall the game to get more control points. But at this, with this position, it's going to be very hard for me. I'll just try to survive as long as possible, which will be at least a good practice for me. I don't have any hope of doing more in this game, really. The shooting was not enough. I thought that with the upkeeps, the heavies will be not as tough. But the team benefit is too much. I was not able to do enough damage. And also the position of my words was really bad. I had them on the flank. They should have been on the center to help me. At least be sacrifices for charges, and so I could have my Argus and my Gorax more time being alive. I use my last Mannikins to try to do more damage on the heavy that I had more close to it, and they do decent amount of damage. But mostly, I want them to be annoying. I just teleport the Sentry Stones to be serve as distractions. I want Tanith to run from her position, and I intend to use my words to block the charges. Here I fit to make cheaper cast my spells. At least I will attempt to damage the jacks with my shooting, and if I'm lucky, I will be able to take out one of the systems. So now the beast is, the jack is Shellbind. I'm trying to figure out if damaging spells is going to be worth it, but my experience with Tanith is that bleed is never a good tactic to attempt, even on feet. So I'll just go safe and cast Admonition on her, Siding Touch on my word, and use that word to continue damaging the jack. So now this word is I have a hard time trying to figure out the ideal position to be engaging and also to be able to block lanes. I also think that trying to make him get the counter charge will allow me to set up my other word in the front. At the end, that's what that's going to happen. I used that counter charge movement to send Tanith further back. I'll continue with the shooting. I don't think I'm going to do enough damage. But well, everything counts. We discussed a minor position error here. I don't remember why, but continue with the attacks. I do what I can. I'm not sure why I am distributing my damage between all the jacks. I think that at this point I am very pressured on what to do. I'll continue the shooting with my last word. I'm also setting it up in a trench so I can at least stop one of the charges. But well, he's not going to withstand two of the heavies in that position. And well, we'll see how it goes.
Cryx turn 4. Alright, so I'm now starting to gain additional points. On control points, I'm now up to 2, where my opponent is still at 1. And I'm looking at the definitely possibility of at least going up 4-1 at the end of my turn, trying to get to 5-1. So I'm starting to just take out any model that belongs to my opponent with the remaining models I have, the remaining jacks. But then on the near side zone, my opponent has a Blackclad Wayfarer. On the other side of the building, out of sight of everything, just holding onto that zone. I'm trying to figure out how I can get there. So after I just do the quick recon, make sure I have solos on the 2 flags, to make sure I get my 4. I just continue the attrition that's going on in the far side zone, taking out any model that isn't mine. So I am using lots of jacks just to take out Mannikins. And then since I am up on time at this point, I probably am taking a little more time than I need to try and figure out how to kill the Blackclad, which I probably need to improve upon going forward. As a player, just when I'm up on time, not slow down my game, because I have ended up clocking myself a couple times in non-recorded games where I'm up on time and I just slow down, try to make sure I do everything right, and end up losing on time. So I immediately, and in the Machine Wraith, send him after the Wayfarer. He hits and does opponent damage. I'm still trying to figure out positioning for the Scavenger, since I can't see on the other side of the building. I can only move, and the 7-inch move that they have isn't quite getting them anywhere useful. So I just decide that since I'm not going to be able to get it, just go ahead and box out that Blackclad. He's not going to survive another turn. I'll give him the zone one more turn. Then in the far zone, my opponent's got one weird left. I'm sending Deathjack. It's nothing else. I can play anything else after it, but nothing else for him to really go after. So at this point, I'm just starting to pin my opponent in the back of, essentially in the back of that trench. If he continues to back up, he's going to killbox himself and give him control points. If he stays where he is, he's going to deal with a bunch of jacks. So at this point, that jack moves in, even though he doesn't have any more attacks, or but 1 or 2 more attacks. And then I just run to get everything into a position for the next turn. I go up 4-1 at this point, and my opponent just hits the clack back over, and I get it on control points.
It was an interesting game. The team is very strong against shooting, I can see that. Even with the weirds on purgation, it was not enough. I see that I made different positioning errors. I think that I have to learn how to do trades more effectively, and also deployment was an issue for me. I need to be more careful on that. But thanks for the opportunity on having me here again, and I hope to keep learning and present better matchups in the future.